Hey, what's up? It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for Three Guys Before the Game. It's episode 600. That's memorable in itself, but perhaps even more memorable than 600 is an historic chapter in West Virginia's athletics history, the rehiring of Rich Rodriguez as the Mountaineers' 36th head football coach. We will break it down from a bunch of different angles coming up on the program. Textual healing as well. Do a little basketball in addition to that. But we're here. The Senator, that way. The Dean, that way. We're all in. It's Three Guys Before the Game. Nice to have you here, fellas.
Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it really episode 600?
This is it. Episode 600.
Well, there's a chance you screwed up the numbering somehow, though. Could be like 625, could be 572, somewhere in there. Fair?
Short answer is yes.
Yeah. It's like when they spot the ball in a football game. That's close. Close enough.
It's close enough.
Move it a little bit, one way or
Just
the
move
other.
it. Yeah, we're all in.
Yeah.
No, it's coming your way.
Run in from the sideline, name the program.
Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart, get a Gomart rewards card. Go to gomart.com for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. They're right there in St. Albans, home of the Red Dragons. Three Guys also brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with Tudor's Biscuits. And by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right, let's do this thing. Jump right on in. I mean, this is one of those...
Wow. Did you title the episode Wow?
I didn't.
Should have.
No, I titled it... what did I title it? Let me see. We just sent that off to the graphics.
Wow could have been the title, Hoppy.
Wow could have been.
Right?
Or, oh my God.
Yeah.
With an exclamation point.
Yeah, you could do that. It's the name of the show is Rich Rodriguez Returns - Spot the Ball V2. Version 2.
Very good.
Version 2, yeah. Spot the Ball. All right.
You could have been, quote the Bible, he was lost and now he's found.
You could, yeah, there's a lot of biblical
Yes,
references that are being thrown around here, Old Testament and New. So how do you put this into context becomes the great question. It broke last night when we were on the air doing Sportsline, and it literally does take you back in so many different ways, and it takes you aback as well. You can't script what we're seeing unfold, and for all of those reasons and many, many more, whether you like the decision or don't like the decision, what it is, and it's undeniable, that it is truly from a distance, it's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating story. This could be happening somewhere else, but from a story wise, this is like, whoa, like it's a movie-esque type thing. So, with that being said, Brad, how do we start these shows?
Hoppy's obvious observations without a sponsor, but still
don't have a sponsor.
Prominent segment.
And thank you, Hoppy. You're on holiday right now, and so you've come into work, and we do appreciate that.
Well, every time I go on holiday, a coach gets hired or fired. So in fact, I think I was on break when Rich took the Michigan job, but that's another time. Tony, I agree with you, except that when you say you can't write the script, actually, this is the script that is always written in literature. This isn't literary. This is as you said, this is a great story. Whether it's a great hire, TBD. But this is a great story because it's the basis of every story.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is whether you're looking at movies or literature, there is someone who is the hero, who is the focus of the story. And this would have been Rich, 20 years ago. And the return of the prodigal son, when he comes back, Brad, and takes over for Don Nealon, as returns home to West Virginia, becomes the head coach, has great success, and then fails spectacularly due to some circumstances beyond his control, and some because of his own failings. So the hero fails and is cast out. And while he is wandering in the wilderness, He continues to coach. He picks up, maybe learns some lessons, has regrets for how things went. And then, as the story goes, he gets a chance. He gets a chance to come back. He gets a chance at what? At redemption. And we love those stories. And so much literature. Think of Jean Valjean in Les Miserables or in Gladiator or all these things. A chance to come back. And so part of this story is written. The part of being initially heroic, then being cast out, then coming back. Now you have to wait and see how this story ends, the final chapters. Now, I think that he will set the stage for it with asking for forgiveness, by saying two things. One is, I think he'll say, on a professional level, worst decision I ever made, leaving West Virginia, going to Michigan. On a personal level, I regret the way I handled that decision. Mm-hmm. So I expect him to say that tomorrow. I expect him to say that repeatedly. And that's the start of the redemption tour. And then it's about what? Do you win? But if you do, then, and by the way, in literature, usually you do. The hero wins.
Happy ending.
In real life, not so often. But you got a chance here. You got a shot at what is already a fascinating story being a great story. You got a chance. I'm anxious to see how it plays out.
Couple things. One, he will say exactly that, as he did on this program a few years ago. Rich was a guest on this program and said those two things right there. So I think you're right. He'll reiterate those. I won't go as highbrow as Hoppy did with Les Mis and the story. That's his area.
I never saw that one.
I can't get into Les Mis. Did not see that coming up on this show. But I will say this. A staple in Rich's Mac tour events over time was the reference to the Lion King. He always talked about they hit the Lion King on the head, said, why'd you do that? And he said, I don't like to look back, I like to look forward. Mm-hmm. Lion King, pretty appropriate here.
Absolutely.
Simba was going to be king of the jungle.
Yeah.
Cast out. Went away.
Yeah.
Traversed around the wilderness for a long time, and then returned to the kingdom.
Yep.
Well, you guys are getting heavy
and
here.
assumed the mantle.
Right.
So, no Les Mis. I don't know Les Mis. But I do Lion King. Watch Lion King a bunch. We got a Lion King reference here, and it's one of Rich's favorite shows.
That's because,
fair,
again,
Hoppy? Was that fair?
Absolutely fair, whether it's the Lion King or Les Mis or A Wonderful Life or what was I thinking, another one? Christmas, whatever. It's the basis of most literature. So,
which is what makes it, what you said, an unbelievable story.
Compelling.
Not just here. You called it last night on Sportsline, biggest sports story in West Virginia since you've been covering it in 40 years. I don't think that's hyperbole by you. I think that's accurate. This is a massive story. This is a national story. You like to say, are you nationally relevant? What's the attraction? Well, there you go, right? You're a story today across all of college sports. Let me say something else here, too. This also isn't as deep as what Kercheval went. But I often say on this show, Hop, you're allowed to enjoy this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You should enjoy this stuff. And I have to say, going back over the last 12 hours and watching entrance videos and seeing old pictures and seeing United Bank commercials that we spent hours filming.
Oh, those are great commercials.
That we spent hours upon hours filming with Rich and had a lot of fun doing. Hoppy?
Yeah.
It's been kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun to relive what was a magical time in Mountaineer sports and Mountaineer football. Now, the question of can you recapture that magic, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
And we can have that conversation, and we'll have that conversation in the coming months and coming years. But I will say right now, short term, if you're looking for some fun, and I know there's a percentage of the base that isn't happy here. I know there's still a divided fan base. But I did have some fun over the last 12 hours looking at some of that stuff and going back and remembering some of those good times. I thought about the two of us. I've said this story before. The two of us, Hoppy, when we would get on a bus to a road game back then, instead of hashing, all right, what do you have to do here? Who's going to get the ball? How are they going to run? We would literally sit on the bus as we'd pull up to Clarksburg and say, what are we going to do for food? Where are we going to eat? Because it wasn't a question. You were going to go down and hammer somebody.
Right.
Those were fun times. That was an enjoyable time period. Even with all the craziness and chaos that was going around, that was a fun time period.
Yeah.
It's been fun to reminisce. That's my point.
So you went Les Mis, you went Lion King. Do we also have a little bit of Hoosiers here? Do we have a little Hoosiers
again,
in the sense that he lost his job, right? Because he lost his mind at that one school and had to resurrect himself and then he came back.
The Dennis Hopper character.
Yeah, he comes back. Well, this was the Gene Hackman.
Oh, Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah,
He might punch somebody, and then he comes back to a different, and he resurrects himself.
Right.
And he ultimately wins the thing. So I think it's got all of
Well,
those.
didn't Dennis Hopper's character kind of do the same thing within the movie as well?
He did for a while.
cleaned
He
up.
fell off the wagon.
He got back in, drew up a great play.
Called
Okay.
the old picket fence.
So just a bunch of random wild thoughts too. So what's also, and again, there's an infinite number of intriguing storylines that still have to develop. And one is, can you get back to a high level of winning? Mm-hmm. So Rich won 69% of his games while he was here, which is really, really good. Okay? Really, really good. So historically, and I went through these numbers last night, when coaches have returned, and it's happened 7 times that I can tell in the Power 4, 5 in the last 50 years. It's happened 7 times. And only one of those coaches won more percentage-wise than the first time they were there, and that was Mike Riley, who had to win more because the first time that he was there, he won 36%. He goes back and he wins in the mid-50s. So Bill Snyder was the closest. He went 66 his first stint at Kansas State, 61% his second stint, and I think you would take that. Mm-hmm. So the question is that historically it says you don't do as well. Johnny Majors went back to Pitt and absolutely tanked it. And Randy Edsel went back to Connecticut and tanked it. And there's other guys that had this moderate success. What I think here is different is this, among those 7 other guys that have done it, Mac Brown did it, is this. They didn't come back with all of the drama and all of the ill feelings that Rich left with. I think Rich comes back, and he's not back here to coach like those other guys went back to say, I'm going to give this another run 3 or 4 years. I think he comes back in like absolutely illuminated to do one thing, and that's to show you that the first time, number one, was no joke, and I'm better than I was the first time. And I know the league's tougher. Mm-hmm. I get that. There's no more Rutgers, with all due respect to Rutgers and all due respect to the others. I know that. I think he comes back with his own hard edge that he preaches constantly that his team has to have. He will have a new hard edge, and he's going to be like, one thing, I ain't here. I'm here to win, which I like.
I agree with you. And I said this on SportsCenter last night. I think it's a really interesting dynamic here as you continue to look at storylines, and it's along what Tony just said there. You got early Rich beginning his coaching career, right? The hard edge was evident. That was the style of play. It fit perfectly with the brand that fans wanted to see. And oh, by the way, you had super high level success. But you got Rich on a climb, right? You got him ready to, what's next? I'm going to win a national title. What's coming next? It was always what's next with Rich. You got him very hungry and motivated because he was starting his head coaching career. I think that still exists. I'm with Tony on that. I think you now get end of the career Rich, right? Who knows how many jobs are left after this, if any. This is probably it. And I think you're going to get Rich coming in here highly motivated for the exact reasons Tony said and getting after it right from day one, to right some past wrongs and to get back to a previous level to where he views himself and where he wants to be and where he wants his program to be, quite frankly.
I agree completely with both of you guys. And here's another aspect of this, is that Rich Rodriguez, like a lot of us, is still a West Virginian. Okay, he's rooted in West Virginia. He really hasn't been able to come back. He has come back because he still has family here, but it's different because of the way he left. My understanding is that part of the motivation of wanting to coach and wanting to coach here again is to be able to come back and set things right. And he gets an opportunity to do that. And you know what? If you have any self-awareness at all, you realize the significance of that opportunity, which usually does not come.
Correct.
But you got it this time due to a variety of circumstances, which we'll talk about. Yeah. And I think I'm sure he's self-aware enough to recognize. And by the way, I don't think he would have gotten the offer. I don't think he would have gotten the job if he was not able to convince Ren Baker and Gordon Gee that he was self-aware about everything that has happened and about what he needs to do going forward.
Yeah, we'll get into how we got to this point,
Yeah.
or as best we can figure out the outline as to how did it come, because Rich was not the very first name on the list, but oftentimes, as we see in coaching searches, things happen during the search and it comes to, hey, this is going to happen. But first, I've got to tell you,
What?
As a West Virginian, I don't have this confirmed. And it may be the first time that I say something on this program that's unconfirmed.
Probably.
But I've got a pretty good feeling, Brad, that Rich Rodriguez has had a Tudor's biscuit.
Oh, I'm sure. No
and when he
question.
comes back, I'm going to tell him about the Tudor's biscuit, because last March, 32 different biscuit makers had a competition. It was the March Madness of biscuits. It was put together by Garden and Gun magazine, and they won themselves a world's championship with the Tudor's biscuit. There it is. There's the brackets. There's the brackets. Don't know if Buc-ee's is on there, not lined up. Beat Buc-ee's, laughed at them, and they won the 2024 South's Best Biscuit. If you're a biscuit person, and if you're not, try a Tudor's biscuit. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit.
Biscuits in the name. So other places maybe make biscuits, like and we also make biscuits, but Tudor's biscuit.
No, you're exactly. I'm glad you're on top of that, Hoppy.
On it.
And don't forget, as we head toward it's quickly moving. By the way, we're taping on the 12th. There's not that many days left. 19 days left in the year. Keep this in mind. At our good friends at GoMart, you have until the end of the year, December the 31st, where you've got opportunities to qualify for these incredible Merry Madness tokens that they're giving away. Mountaineers play their bowl game coming up this Tuesday. And don't forget, Tuesdays at GoMarts up until the end of the year, triple point Tuesdays. Download.
When is it? Tuesday? Because I need gas. I was going to go on. It's Tuesday?
Triple.
Yeah, I thought it was Thursday. I was going to get triple points. Tuesday's triple points?
Triple point Tuesdays. You go in there, whatever you get at GoMart, they'll triple your points, but you have to have the rewards card. You can download it, gomart.com, or go to GoMart and get their app. Just put it on your phone and cash in, and you get triple point Tuesdays and get all those points, all those merry rewards. Have yourself a big time.
So that's Tuesday.
Coming up Tuesday.
Triple points.
I won't be in town.
So I'm just going to get 3 cents off a gallon with your app there. So I'll just take that today, Hop.
You're going to do that
I'll take
today?
the 3 cents off per gallon. I got to get gas. I'm down low. Got to get gas.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know, your food management and your gas management are about the same.
Been horrific lately. This Christmas season, I tell you what, you need more junk. All right. How did we get to where we are? What is your take?
My take is the following, that you started with Ren Baker hoping that you didn't get blown out at Texas Tech and that you could find a way to keep Neil Brown. You start there. So I don't know where he was with that infamous list everybody supposedly has in the desk drawer, whatever. We know he's analytical. We know he had probably had Zoom calls with more than a dozen individuals. We know the names of some of those individuals when they got down to the in-person interviews, and then things just start to happen. I mean, the Barry Odom thing. West Virginia can't pay a coach $6 million.
You talk about wow. That was a wow. Purdue dropping $6.5 million, 6-year, $39 million. Reportedly paid the buyout as well.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just like, okay, well, that's off the table. You can't match that. You can't do that. Chadwell, I guess, is staying at Liberty. Summerall staying at Tulane, and Tulane, I know, not a Power 4, pretty good job, pretty good jumping off point for the next job. Summerall staying there. Munkin, we heard a lot about Munkin, and obviously a great coach, but there were going to be questions. I mean, hasn't done the NIL, runs the bone, hasn't worked in the transfer portal. So not questioning his coaching ability, but just there was some things there that were untested. The Heartline thing out of Ohio State, that was early on, but that that was sort of in and out early. I know it got attention late, but I think that was in and out early. So Kotelnicki, I think they visited with Kotelnicki. I don't know what the story was there. I'm not sure if Anthony Beck ever got a serious look. I'm not sure. So those are the nuggets I have on the coaching search.
Mm-hmm. And as an athletic director, and not necessarily specific to West Virginia, but like you have this thing, you have to make a decision internally. Do I hire a coordinator or do I hire a guy that's already coached? And sometimes it's tough to eat that hurdle, and you go like, I know this person, I know one thing, this person can absolutely call plays, whether it's offense or defense. But this is so much more than that. That's why I think sometimes athletic directors go like, okay, what do I do? And then they look across the landscape, and a lot of time, coordinators, they don't make it. Let's just take a look a little bit here. Who's been really successful in the Big 12 of late? Matt Campbell, right? Previous head coaching experience. Chris Kleiman, incredible head coaching experience. Lance Leipold comes to the Big 12, head coaching experience. Willie Fritz, the new head coach at Houston, coached, head coaching experience. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is not a league where oftentimes coordinators come in and have a great level of success, okay? And I think sometimes ADs look at it and go, okay, I want a guy that at least has sat in the big seat, that's done all of the things that are required of the head coach, rather than having a coordinator come in who, again, could be absolutely fantastic and have him learn on the job at this level, because there's just too much at stake if you don't win.
There were questions. Every name you just mentioned, there were significant questions around. And that's one of, as we talked, one of the great challenges in hiring a football coach. That variance between known and unknown is the biggest gap of any of the sports. The job is different at every level. It is not your head football coach at a G5 and a Power 4. It's different jobs. The management part alone is different. The management of Jeff Monken going from Army to here, there were significant questions. Although you talk to football people, they rave about Jeff Monken, right? But nobody's pulled the trigger on Jeff Monken for a lot of things you mentioned there, just to name one name. So every candidate or every name that came up, and there were more people that were talked to than names that came up publicly in this, everybody had a question. Here's what you do know about Rich. And are there questions? Yeah, and it mostly comes around the drama of the departure and the feelings. And I totally understand that. I get that there's a portion of the base that may never come around. I get that there's a portion of the base that is not there now, but will come back on board if the winds follow. I totally understand that. People feel how they want to feel. Here's what you do know. If I'm Ren and I'm sitting down and I'm doing a search and I'm looking for the boxes to check, here's what I know. Sitting head coach, right? Got it. And we know Ren's preference is a sitting head coach, and he said so publicly in his press conference. Coordinators weren't off the board, but for a lot of reasons that he outlined, head coaches were the preference. So he's got that. Now, you're not only a sitting head coach, but have you had success at multiple places? There's no doubt here, right? As a head coach, go all the way back to Glenville, right? And then you can go to his coordinator spots at Tulane and Clemson, which he did. He won at Michigan, guys. I mean, that's the thing. That was a bad fit for him. That was a bad fit for Rich to go there in the first place. But if you look what was happening there, he leaves. Brady Hoke comes in year one, wins what? 11 or 12 games or whatever they did there, had a great year. Then goes to Arizona, got them a conference championship. Goes to Jacksonville State, got them a conference championship. I don't know that there's many questions surrounding Rich's football acumen. The guy has won and been successful everywhere he's been. So if you just look at that particular profile and box, if you're searching for a head coach, I don't know how you can't be intrigued by that. That's number one. Number two, this isn't mandatory, but I do think it helps if you can get it. Knows the terrain, knows the job here intimately well, knows the challenges that come with the job, knows the people around the job extremely well. Again, that's not a deal breaker, but if you can get that with the other thing, okay, that's pretty attractive. And then the third piece, if some of the stuff being said publicly that you know about, I'm going to assume there's some stuff privately when it comes to the financial side of things. If there's a financial piece to this from some of the folks that have said they're going to give a financial piece, well, that's a hell of a bonus too. And I don't know that that automatically comes with every other candidate on the front end. It would have got there with wins, Hop, but you couple that with what the university's stepping up and doing financially, stepping up with the schedule changing a little bit. I think you've got some things that fit, and the schedule was going to change regardless of who the coach was. But head coach experience and success, knowing the job and its challenges intimately and being able to tackle those head on and getting some extra financial incentive if, in fact, that part comes to fruition, those are three pretty big boxes you're checking right there. I think that would be the case Ren will make for why you go for Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think you're on point. A couple things to add to that. One is financially. We don't know the terms of the deal yet. We'll find it out. But I think what you'll find out is it's a manageable amount. Okay, that you're not going to have to pay $6 million. You don't want him to be the lowest paid coach in the Big 12, but you don't have to pay him $6 million, and you can probably manage the buyout a little bit more economical in favor of the university. So that is a part to consider. And also, Rich, and you know this from working with him, and I know it from when he was here the first time, Rich is good with the public. Rich is good. Rich has we've seen after losses some of his dark side, but he can turn it on, and he has a big personality. He when he walks into a room, he can work the room. He'll be good with donors. He'll be good with the public. He's probably even gotten better at that. So that's a win too.
Yeah. And here perhaps is a win or a benefit that will be difficult to quantify, and that is the entire Pat McAfee factor.
Mm-hmm.
So what you just did by making this hire is that, and I don't think Pat was the catalyst or the sole reason why this happened. I'm not saying that at all. But one of the benefits of having Pat and the role and the prominence that he plays in the space right now is that this becomes a basic infomercial for West Virginia University football going forward. And that cannot be quantified. The value of that cannot be quantified. But if Pat says to his tribe, West Virginia football is cool, and this flying WV is cool, there will be those that will say, that's cool, I'm in, and they'll follow. And that doesn't necessarily be in the state of West Virginia. He will bring a cool factor to it. There's no doubt, and you guys will think about this, Rich, I wouldn't be stunned, will be a regular on the Pat McAfee show. You can't put a value to that when it comes to your brand and your recruiting. I think that's a separator that normally West Virginia would not be able to move that needle.
I agree with you on that too. I would just say that I'll go back to stating the obvious. You got to win games, man.
Oh,
I mean, you got, because if you're not successful, and I don't know what the length of the rope is here. I'm not sure.
You got to hold it.
Well,
Hold the rope, Hop.
But, well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what people will expect the first year or the second year. I don't know what that's going to be, but it's going to be, if you're not successful reasonably early, then it's, how many people are going to say, I told you not to bring him back? And if you are successful, how many people say, I told you should bring him back? So, I mean, what do you got? A year and a half, 2 years to show?
I don't know if you have two.
No.
You might have to go next. I mean, there might not be any grace period anymore. You might have to win. But let's say this. So the financial piece that I was talking about there, I couple that exposure in on the financial piece. It's not just people that Rich is close to that you go to and say, okay, we need some NIL money, because that, you talk about part of the job being different. There's where part of the job's different, right?
Yeah.
The recruiting, which Rich has clearly been good at, is aided by the dollars you have. To me, that's where the Pat McAfee show part of this comes in, is the exposure to the recruiting to help you. That's where on the front end, before you worry about what the expectations or wins are, you get a running start with that. I mean, heck, take what Pac-Man did last night on Twitter. Now, I'm not even sure this is legal, but as we say, I don't even know if there's rules either.
There's no rules.
But Pac's already said any defensive back next year with more than 2 interceptions gets $100K.
In a game?
Yeah. No, I think I might be season-wise. I don't know that he put a disclaimer on there. I didn't see any fine print. But you got Pac out.
Better not put that toward Charles Fisher. Charles Fisher walk out of there a rich man.
Well, I don't. He said no cap too, so I think it just goes up. But again, whether that actually comes to fruition or can you? I don't even know.
I'm not sure you can do that.
But here's the point. Here's what it did. For hundreds of thousands of views, it got some attention from one of the all-time great players here, and a guy that draws a lot of attention when he goes out and talks, and Pac-Man Jones, right? So those are things that you wouldn't have under any other candidate that we've just mentioned on this desk that does come with Rich.
Okay.
Does that guarantee a conference title? It does not. Does that guarantee 9 wins here? It does not. But it gives you a heck of a start moving forward in what is the most critical part of this program. We spend all our time on Rich. You go get players. And when Rich has had great players, particularly at quarterback, what has happened? What has happened when really good coach is combined with really good players? What happens?
Yeah, you win. Yeah.
It's been electric. I mean, go back. Go back to quarterbacks. Glenville?
Scott Otis played for the national championship.
Quarterback? Well, Jed was pretty good too, right?
Jed was very good, but Scott Otis played for the national championship with
Tulane.
Richard.
Sean King.
Woodrow
Clemson. Woody Dantzler.
Dantzler.
Go to West Virginia. Rashid. Pat, just go down the list, right? Successful. You go to Michigan, shoelaces. I wonder if Rich can get that record taken away.
You think we could ask him about that? We could ask him about that.
Yeah, he's got to get rid of that record.
I agree.
That kid was a great player.
Yes.
But he moved to running back and got yards that accumulated as a quarterback and knocked Pat out of the all-time quarterback rusher.
Bad
Pat's
move.
the rightful champion in that.
Horrific.
Goes to Arizona, Khalil Tate. Goes to Jacksonville State. His quarterback this year was outstanding. So recruiting, okay, now we've talked about the rich stuff. Now you move quickly into, we'll talk about staff, and then you go get dudes. You got to get dudes. And if Rich goes and gets dudes, combined with his X's and O's, I think you're going to win at a really high rate. And that could have gone under your Hoppy's obvious observation category, I realize.
So here's how this thing happens, and it's going to happen really quickly. So we're recording Thursday afternoon. Rich is going to be introduced tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. Pat McAfee is going to do his show from the Coliseum, and he's going to be singing West Virginia football praises, right, for that. So do you understand where we are right now in this transfer portal? These kids that are on the current team have a couple of weeks in order to make, I'm going to stay or I'm going to go. And then all of those others that are in the portal right now or considering going into the portal, they're looking around. Now, tomorrow you're going to get this unbelievable catalyst of explosion of West Virginia football. And Rich is going to go on Pat's show, and he's going to say, if you're a player and you want to play, he goes, we got him. Come on over here. Now, who else is going to be able to do that on a national level? No one can do that. Rich, I'm sure, I'm guessing, I don't know if he is. I'm sure he is. I'm guessing he is. He'll be at the bowl game next Tuesday, and he'll be down on the sideline. And they'll bring him over for the ESPN interview, and they're going to say, "Coach,
on the sideline.
You're watching your team right here. What do you think?" And he's going to put out another sales pitch. And all the people that are on that fence of going into the portal are going, you know what? That's pretty good. You know, he's got Pat McAfee. He's really cool, and that thing, West Virginia, they got this next 7 to 10 days will be massive of getting the single most important thing you need in your program, and that's more better players.
Dudes.
More better players.
I'm having deja vu. We're going to have a lot of deja vu because I was at that bowl game too, in the booth. Rich was there, succeeding Don Nealon. And just now.
Well, I told Tony last night, I mean, I know we've got to do our show Tuesday, but I might not be available, Hoppy, because during that sideline interview he's talking about, that was one of my first duties with Rich. Got him from the suite. He and I walked through the bowels of the Tennessee Titans Stadium. We walked out the tunnel. I can picture it like it happened yesterday. Walked out of the tunnel. There's a sideline reporter. I said, here's Coach Rich Rodriguez. Rich, this is, and I can't remember who the reporter was. Stepped up, did the interview. We got done. We walked back up to put back in the suite. Deja vu.
It is.
And Don was
what was that, 24 years ago?
And they were preparing, 2000
Music Bowl.
They're preparing for the bowl game. Rich had an office in the press box. And Don was still downstairs coaching. Rich is in the press box making phone calls, putting his staff together, trying to get players. And I'll tell you this, later today when Rich walks through the facilities building, that's 24 years ago, through the Pushkar Center, like he's going to go like, what in the hell?
Well, that will be the one thing that's not familiar.
He will get lost, and he will walk in, he'll go, wait a second. The doors are, they moved where's the doors? How do I get in here? And he'll go in there, and I think he will be mind blown. He will be mind blown as to what that building has become.
Agree. He won't be able to find Lori's desk.
No. And what's going to be neat is, I know Ross, good old Ross Marr, our buddy, P1 listener here to the show, he's on the plane bringing them back. And so he's going to videotape all this. I want to see Rich's reaction when he walks into that building for the first time and goes, oh, my goodness. Because it's, a lot of things have changed within that football program. And he will get a wow when he walks in there today.
I'm just thinking the year before it all fell apart was the year that he had the Alabama job. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. And I remember being at the Pushkar Center, facilities building, team meeting, and I remember some of the players coming out. I heard a roar, and some of the players coming out saying, he's staying. And remember the sense of relief, like, this coach just turned down Alabama to stay at West Virginia? Even though there's some question he might have been more interested in that job. It
turned out to be a seminal moment in the college football landscape, did it not?
Because of Nick Saban, they did pretty good with their next hire. But
always a West Virginia connection.
Yeah. And then the following year was a great year in the Pitt game. But it wasn't just losing the Pitt game. It was then the way he left, and then the lawsuits, because he didn't want to pay the buyout, and the legal fight, and the things that came out in the legal fight. It got really ugly. I mean, it was tantamount to an ugly divorce. And after an ugly divorce, there's hard feelings, And it's hard to get past that. And for some folks, it'll be hard to get past or never get past.
Yeah.
Because of the hard feelings.
Yeah, I get it.
But in West Virginia, what do we love in West Virginia? What do we love more than anything in West Virginia? We love it when a West Virginian is successful.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing when you think Tony Gibson's the head coach at Marshall. Rich is back at West Virginia. I mean, again, like I said at the start, you can't make this stuff up. Staff now is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who comes back? Who's back in? You know, the kind of around, like, scene in the Blues Brothers, right? Aykroyd and Belushi driving in that car, got the big speaker on the top of the old cop car, and they keep stopping at different places and going, we're putting the band back together. Like, how many guys rejoin the band? How many guys rejoin the band?
That's a good question because he's got a bunch of West Virginia guys with West Virginia ties currently on staff, but there'll be some new folks as well. There's another little element to who will be joining that we'll get to in Spreads on Stats coming up here in just a minute.
Excuse me? All right, Spreads on Stats coming up. 3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems. You know what they can do, Hoppy?
What?
Well, I'll tell you what. They'll put a business phone system wherever you want it, and they'll do it at absolutely the most competitively priced product line that you will ever find. Visit Comax Business Systems. What they'll do is they'll visit you. They'll come in, look at your system, what you need, make a recommendation as to what best suits your business's needs, and then it's free. No, not the phone, but the estimate.
Mm-hmm.
You make the call. You can lease, you can purchase, you can rent from one line to 1,000 lines, digital lines. They got you all covered. Visit ComaxWV.com. 3 Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. Who knows? When the Mountaineers go to play Ohio University with Rich next season, and they might put a boat down there near the Ohio River, some kind of have a little thing. Can you get to Parkersburg, to Athens, something like that? Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Let me take a look. Let's take a look inside. A Lou Wendell Marine. There it is.
Oh.
Yeah. All different kinds of items. And actually, those are not rafts up there on the top of that shelving. Those are huge nautical Christmas ornaments. And that's what they are. And you can go in right now and you can, if you got someone with a boat, you can get all kinds of good stuff that you can fill their stocking with or fill their boat with. It's Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Great selection of boats. The premier, the single #1 pontoon boat dealer in our state of West Virginia. And they got those Avalon boats out of Michigan. There, just take a look. Those are gorgeous. Those are gorgeous. You can just feel the summer when you take a look at those. So check them out. LouWendellMarineSales.com. Very nice.
Can I make
Sure.
since we're moving to basketball, get my obvious observation out of the way?
Do what you need to do.
Here's my obvious observation. I was deeply distressed to see Tucker DeVries not in uniform at the game Tuesday night, period,
Yes.
Exclamation point.
Yes.
Here's an obvious observation. You were not alone. A state of fans felt your pain. Hoppy. Time. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're just going right in.
So is this basketball or is this
I've got a
football?
little, I've got a little football and basketball.
Oh my goodness.
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes the heater. Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show. Ready? 5, 4, 3.
Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group. They provide audit and assurance, tax planning and preparation, consulting, and advisory. You can outsource your accounting. You can outsource your CFO services with a company that's been in business for 40 years, locally operated, value beyond numbers. That's the Conley CPA Group. Like, don't play games with your taxes. Like, that could come back and really bite you in the rear end.
Don't do that.
Next thing you know, right, you're wearing khaki clothes, working in the cafeteria. Not a good thing. Don't play that game. Don't play with Uncle Sam. Eventually, they're going to get you. All right, it's Conley CPA Group.
Just a quick little couple football notes.
Yeah, I'm interested. You said you basically you're announcing his staff?
No.
Oh.
I'm announcing his staff.
Oh.
But you know what's different about the job of the many things?
What?
You know, you mentioned that portal's open.
Portal wide open.
What?
Oh.
Well, I mean, he had some success.
Yeah.
Oh.
They had some dudes.
You talking about a James Madison type thing?
Well, I'm not.
13 guys?
I don't
You
know
bring in
that. And
13?
listen, all due respect to Jacksonville State, I'm sorry. I mean,
You just.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry for what
I'm sorry, I'm about
may
to punch you
come
right
about.
in the face.
It's part of the landscape now.
It is.
Sorry for them.
Over under. Signetti took 13. Over under.
Under.
What's the number?
That's a good question. I wish I'd thought about that before right this second.
I'm going to give it.
6.5.
I was thinking that, but I'm going to go one more.
7.5.
7.5.
I think you're
Which
in the
side?
range.
Which side you on the 7.5?
Maybe under. I don't know. They were successful. So I was just doing some numbers. I was just looking through some things.
That's what this is. It's a segment about numbers.
Thank you. Jacksonville State had a team 82.4 coverage grade. They're very good in coverage.
And what was West Virginia not good in?
Coverage. Third best in Conference USA, 23rd best in all of G5. Huh. 5 of the 8 highest graded defenders on that entire team were defensive backs. 2 safeties, 3 corners. I mean, one of those safeties, 2 of the cornerbacks have eligibility left. I don't know anything beyond that.
We coming.
I don't know anything beyond that. Maybe they're not of interest. Maybe they don't want to play for Rich anymore. Maybe Rich doesn't want them. I do not know. One of the safeties, 2 of the cornerbacks have eligibility, Hoppy.
Okay.
Offensive side of the ball, 5th best overall offensive grade in G5 for Rich there, which no surprise, right, Hoppy? What have we said?
Yeah.
When he has a quarterback that is productive, start with that, his offenses are good, full stop. 5th best offensive grade in G5 had a quarterback that really produced. Their highest graded offensive player, however, was a receiver. Had 600 and some yards receiving on the season.
We coming.
Has some eligibility left. 3rd best run grade in Group of 5, 92.6 run grade. So had a great year. They put up some great numbers. And again, if that happens, I'm sorry, Jacksonville State. I don't know if any of that's going to happen. Have not talked to anybody about any of that, Hoppy. Just simply looking at, this is a numbers segment. I looked at some numbers. That's what I saw on a quick perusal, just a couple minutes in.
No, makes sense.
But that, in all seriousness, that is one of the differences, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's not just a coach leaving a program, which all throughout time you've seen guys follow before, but this is a potentially different era. If there are guys that he thinks can play at this level from that school, it would not surprise me if there's a big number of guys that come.
Or guys that he played against this year.
Sure.
He sees other teams that he's played against. You make the phone call and go, hey,
sure,
got an opportunity. Yeah, I mean, you can't live off those guys, but Curt Cignetti made a heck of a dent this year in establishing his base. And something to be said, and I talked with someone about this just yesterday, he will bring a certain number of guys with him because he wants to show those that are here what the expected level of workload is, which is a unique type of a mode of preparation. I mean,
and what just what the culture's like, right? I mean, here's what it's going to take to play here.
Yes, exactly. So I remember the first time he did it. I remember the first spring, and you talk about a night and day difference. He went out there, and it is the one thing about him is that there's no day that is not a day filled with tension. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's constant, it's just this constant tension among everyone involved. Coaches, players, that, hey, this is the bar, and if you don't hit that bar every day, then, his term used to be the orange suckers. What do you mean? Remember the orange suckers? The orange suckers were during off-season conditioning. There were a group of guys that would go up in the indoor, and they would work at the level that they expected. And then he said, then we got the orange suckers. So what do you mean by the orange suckers? He goes, those are the guys, they really don't care. They just like to go over by the training area, and those orange segments, slices, they just like to put them in their mouth, and they're just having a good time, because that's not what we want. We don't want orange suckers. We want the guys that are going to work. And so he creates this whole very tense thing to create his recipe of hard edge, so that when they go out there, they got hard edge.
It's one of the things we talked about when Darren arrived basketball-wise. And Tucker, Hoppy mentioned Tucker, and we're going to get into his absence the other night and the what's listed as indefinitely and what that means for this team. But there weren't a lot of guys that knew about Darren, right? That's an entirely new roster. But you know who did? Tucker. You know who knows how it's supposed to look? Tucker. You know who knows how it's supposed to look at practice? Tucker. And that was when your very best player was your best driver of your culture. It can bring it along more quickly, as you've seen with this basketball team. Now, you got a bunch of hard workers on that basketball team that bought in instantly. That's why they were brought in the first place. Darren and that staff thought they would fit. But that matters. I mean, you need somebody that's going to be there inside that says, this is the level of expectation that it now takes.
Yeah, and they'll watch the tape of the players that are here, and anyone that they watch tape of who may take a circuitous route to go make a tackle, they just kind of lollygag to get over there. They're gone. Instantly gone. Because it's not acceptable. And Neil would have cleaned out a lot of those guys as well in this offseason, but no, you can't do it. So that's how they get to be that hard, ferocious hitting team. I look back to the Kansas State game this year, and we got physically beat up. Like they were having their turn on just physically pounding us. Took Garrett out of the game. Really pounded us. That is where this thing needs to get back to. Just that physically. Now, we did it at Cincinnati this year, right? Upended them.
Yeah. Physical.
Got the quarterback, knocked him around, caused turnovers. That is what we've come to know it to be, correct? Mm-hmm. And so that's where this thing will get back to. But I don't know how long, but it'll be quicker. It'll be sooner than later. Because of the portal, you can go get dudes.
Yeah, that's all I had on football. I thought that was interesting.
Well,
a couple of the high end guys there were still have some
Yeah,
eligibility left.
that was interesting.
You want to talk basketball for a second?
Bethune-Cookmans are coming in.
Well, I was going to go back first before we go forward.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because we haven't recapped North Carolina Central.
I guess that's true. Were you at that one?
I did. Saw that one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, turned out well.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out well for the Mountaineers.
That's what
but
I heard.
The story, Hop, you're right. The story there was no Tucker DeVries, which is a massive story moving forward and changes this team. And again, the release says indefinitely, so you don't know when that will be a return, if there will be a return there. So what that makes this team do, it's got to play differently, and it's got to ask more guys to play more minutes and do more things. You saw it the other night, and you've got theoretically a couple of good games here where you can try and get used to what these new lineups are going to look like. Man, you saw some really nice performances the other night. How about Joe Yesufu? Hello. 4 threes. He scored 11 in the final 3:47 of the first half, including 2 threes in the last 0.3 seconds of the shot clock.
Soul-breaking for the opposing team. Soul-breaking shots.
I was happy to see Joe have some success and be able to score like that. He was great.
Had not played since the Louisville game.
Yeah, and he came in and was excellent. Gave you great minutes, gave you great buckets there in the first half to kind of create that wave of scoring. Jonathan Powell was outstanding. Season high for him was 17. Hop, he's a guy you're going to count on. You have counted on already. Had a really good start to the season and then had been in a shooting slump there for the last few games. You absolutely not only needed to have him break out when he did, you're going to have him be consistent moving forward here. He's going to get a lot of important minutes without Tucker for however long he's out.
Yeah, and a lot of guys got a lot of court time there, but I can't get past the DeVries thing. I mean, it's like the Celtics without Larry Bird. I mean, it's not just the points. But it's everything.
The points might be, as crazy as it sounds, the points might be the least important part of Tucker's absence.
Yeah.
It's the ability to keep that team connected at the offensive end and the defensive end. The ability to get in passing lanes and know where to be defensively. The ability when the offense bogs down to do something to create some movement on the offensive end. So yeah, this team's got a lot of work in front of it, and you're going to ask for some of these guys to really step forth. Eduardo Andre is going to have to play more. You saw him start the game the other night alongside Amani Hansberry, which means Harris is going to have to get some more time somewhere along the line in a backup role. So you started to see it the other night. That was a good night. You win by 34. A lot of that, Hop, was due to just elite three-point shooting. This team was fantastic from three, made 15 of them, had a plus 39-point advantage from the three-point line. That was ball game. So Yesufu was tremendous. Powell was tremendous. And, of course, well noted, the second-best shooter in Valley High School history. The sniper, Jake Auer, comes off the bench and doesn't even need a minute to get loose.
No.
Does not need to break a sweat, Hoppy. You put Auer in the game, and threes are going up, Hop, and they're going to fall.
Good.
He banged 3 of them. You set the over-under in the 3-game stretch on the last show at 3.5. I think we all took the over. he almost got the over in one game.
Mm-hmm.
Jake was tremendous.
I don't know if you enjoy his success or do you have some jealousy because you were the Valley player that was unable to step up to the Division I level and do it.
Yeah. No jealousy. Super happy for the young man.
Yeah. But do you see yourself in that Iowa uniform doing that for Dr. Tom Davis years ago? Would that have been the moment inside a Carver Hawkeye, you coming off the bench, crowd cheering for you, and just dropping threes down?
Long time ago. Hard to remember back that far.
And somebody in a podcast saying, well, not a podcast, somebody on live radio is saying, boy, it's nice to see Brad, the young man in there, Brad, how he worked so hard in practice and come out and get a chance to make a couple threes.
We'll always appreciate Dr. Tom Davis and Rudy Washington for the offer.
Yeah.
Certainly would have loved to put on the black and gold and go in there and do that. Would have been nice to see my name in the newspaper. Because that would have been the source. Would have been nice to see my name in the newspaper there in the box score. Would have had to go to the box score. How? 4 threes. That would have been nice. Never got the opportunity, so I'm going to live vicariously through my guy, Jake.
That's what I was going to say. So you are living vicariously.
He and I had a conversation about it at the shoot-around on Monday. I mean, I fully conceded he's the greatest Valley High shooter ever to play at West Virginia University.
I just like the fact you referenced the agate page in newspapers. In all
seriousness, I asked Darren about this after the game, and I did it in a joking manner. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Jake find his way into some games. We've seen coaches do that in the past.
Teddy Talkington.
Teddy Talkington was one. Johnny West was one. Sure. James Long under Huggs was one. Guys that you can put in, Hop, in those. There's certain situations where you go in, guys that can heat up immediately, don't need a warm-up period. I know I joked about that, but Jake doesn't need a warm-up period. You put him on the floor and he can shoot it, and if nothing else, they come into the game after a timeout, end of a half or a game, and the other team has to go,
who's that guy?
Got to guard him.
Well,
they'll know. He'll be on the scouting report. They'll say he's in there for one reason, and if we want to leave him alone and double somewhere else, the guy's going to take a shot and might hit it.
Yeah.
There might be some spot duty for Jake coming in a valuable moment.
Yeah, exactly. In the right sequence, like you could put and say, okay, I'm going to put Javon Small, he can make a three. I'm going to put Jonathan Powell, he can make a three. I'm going to put Jake Auer, he can make a three, right? I'm going to put Toby Oconee, he could make a three. Amani Hansberry, for that
you
matter.
Have all five shooters. Yeah.
So he can run some stuff that really forces you to honor each person on the floor. So yeah, you're exactly right about that.
So great job the other night. Couple seasonal numbers I thought you guys would find of interest through. What are we through? 9 games, 7-2 at this point for the Mountaineers.
9.
Number 2 nationally in transition defense. If you're looking on a point per possession basis, number 2 nationally. And that's not just, okay, that's a number because you're playing overmatched teams. You've played Gonzaga and Arizona, who wants to push it as much as anybody, and you're number 2 nationally in transition defense. Super impressive. Number 18 nationally overall in defense on a point per possession basis. So I say this a lot, Hoppy, with Darren's teams. I get fascinated with the offense and the sets and the after timeouts and everything you're drawing up and the performances. It's really defense is the calling card here. That's what generates a lot of this offense, gets them flowing, gets them going. It happened the other night. They got some steals and runouts, and that got everybody going again. That defense is really, really good. Offensively, number 10 nationally points per possession when using the pick and roll ball handler. Now, that's not a surprise coming out of Atlantis. That was Javon how often? Just saying, okay, really, what do you want to do? Who are you going to guard here? Because I'm just going to eat you up with the pick and roll. They're top 50. Javon in particular, is 55th nationally in points per possession as the ball handler. And to put that in perspective, that's rated over 1,200 players. So what's that? Quick math, top 4% nationally in pick and roll ball handler efficiency is Javon Small. West Virginia's number 22 nationally in offensive points per possession after a timeout. We mentioned that to Darren the other day. He just runs great stuff coming out of a timeout, and they more often than not get a really good look. That shows in the numbers as well.
Yeah, I had talked with him today, and he had a coaching rarity. Now, this never happened to your coach. He had to get on Javon Small at halftime for not shooting enough. He passed on 3 threes in the first half, didn't pull the trigger on it. And so he said, dude, like, it's hard to get those. Like, we can't run stuff to get you those open of a look. You have to fire it. And I said, that's a rarity, isn't it? Where normally you're telling kids, hey, hold back on that. We can get a little something better than that. So I think that's interesting, and I think that Javon is going to have to continue to pull the trigger as early and as often as possible.
Just 4 field goal attempts in the first half the other night, 1 of 3 from 3. Then in the second half, a concerted effort. 5 3-point attempts, 8 field goal attempts. He really got going, had 3 assists, 4 rebounds in the second half. So you could tell that took, and he kicked it in there.
All right.
Okay, there's my numbers.
Weird start time Saturday.
What is it?
5.
What? 5 o'clock.
Yeah, Eastern.
Here's weird.
It's for.
Is that for the Ocho or something? What is that?
No, it's just the ESPN Plus game.
It's one of those times. So holiday season, people out shopping. You can get your shopping done.
So you used to be involved in these meetings in the marketing department as to when to set the game time?
You can get your shopping done in the morning.
You used to be involved in them?
A lot of errands going on.
Yeah.
Or if you're coming from a long distance and want to come up, you don't have to start first thing in the morning and get up here. Got time to do some stuff during the day. But then with basketball, you start at 5. It's over at 7:15. You still have time either to get back home if you're coming from a long way, or you have some time to
Go get supper. Get supper.
A little supper, holiday party if you want at night. You can combine a game with a holiday party, Christmas party afterwards.
That's a pretty good idea.
It's a good start time.
You know what?
Can get a lot in. You can get a lot in. You can have a morning and an early afternoon. You can enjoy the game, and you can have an evening. It kind of covers all areas.
You know what? It makes sense.
Thank you.
It makes sense.
You know what else makes sense?
What?
I'll tell you what else makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense. Oh, yeah. Textual Healing comes your way. Brought to us by episode800.com. It's the 12th day of December, and if you want to be guaranteed Mountaineer Roasting Coffee, our Game Day Grind Blend, or our Mountaineer Munch Popcorn, you must put your order in by 14 December. Must be in 14 December. And you'll have it in hand before Christmas. After that, we can't guarantee a delivery. We'll do our very best. Our elves, like everyone else, very busy this time of year. Check it out. Now, back to the live camera action. Mountaineer Popcorn. 2 locations now, Shepherdstown and in Martinsburg. Yeah. And someone told me a little bit of a controversy.
Excuse me?
Controversy involving Mountaineer Popcorn.
What do you mean?
So they moved to Martinsburg.
Yeah. Well, they didn't move. They opened a
new location. There was like a sign from the previous place. But like Mountaineer Popcorn, like there's some kind of thing. They won't put can't put the Mountaineer Popcorn sign. There's some kind of a grandfathered sign. So on behalf of 3 guys before the game, we strongly advocate, can we put a Mountaineer Popcorn sign up in Martinsburg to help the economy and let these people sell some stuff?
Can we get a variance? Yeah. Can we get a zoning variance?
Erin, who runs the show over at Mountaineer Popcorn, never met her that I know of. She sent us 3 bags. Reindeer popcorn. This sounds really good. Fire roasted sweet corn popcorn. And a bag to be named later. Oh, no.
Peppermint.
That's the peppermint.
Peppermint.
Yeah.
Oh, that tastes weird as hell,
reindeer.
huh? Let me see that. What is it?
Chocolate involved in this. There's some pretzels mixed in. It's
Oh,
not
that's-
too
that's
far
the-
different from ours. Mountaineer Munch, chocolate peanut butter.
It doesn't take a whole lot, and this is scaring me a little
You're
bit.
going to eat popcorn on the air. There's
No.
all the things you shouldn't eat on the air.
No, what I'm saying is this. They call this reindeer popcorn.
What are you saying?
What part of the reindeer?
Why do you do that?
I'm just saying.
I mean, you're like a 7-year-old sometimes.
You're absolutely like one. Just
My goodness, is their stuff good.
let me have that.
I mean, that is like elite 5-star. If that were a recruit, it's 5-star popcorn.
Would recommend? Would recommend. Oh, that smells good.
I'm just telling you this. Get the Mountaineer Munch. How good is that, dude?
I'm really good.
Texter, Zach in Harrisonburg, Virginia, home of the James Madison Dukes. Could WVU football become a standalone sports franchise that is purchased by investors or go public and sell stock to fans like the Green Bay Packers? I love y'all like chicken. Zach in Harrisonburg. Yes. Short answer. Don't know when. It's leaning that way. Former owner of the Milwaukee Bucks in the last 2 weeks said he's involved with a group. They're looking to buy college sports teams.
Really?
You hear what I said? They're looking to buy college sports teams.
Incredible.
So yes is the answer. It's on the table. Some form of equity. It wouldn't be a complete sell, but some form. Texter.
This peppermint's good too.
Open that fire thing. I want to see what that's like. Hear about this one. This is Steve, not Kale. How about this picture, guys? He got his Mountaineer Munch on time. Look at that box that we send out. Hashtag efforting on the side of the box. And then this is what he got. There's the Mountaineer Munch, and we throw in, just for the hell of it, 3 guys koozies. No extra cost.
It's good.
Yeah.
Those going out of the world headquarters at Star City?
Yeah, they go out of Star City. The guys over there, I understand, are fired up about Rich coming back.
Yeah.
Daryl?
Yeah. They were jacked up about that.
They're happy. Yeah. Dave went to send some stuff through the mail there today. Said one of them dudes got in a 3-point stance. He was all fired up.
Pull a little more air in his helmet?
Put a few more stamps on your package.
Listen,
Put your face in the
there
fan.
are elite creatives in the athletic department, so they don't need our advice. I'm taking a cue. When I used to work there, people didn't take that advice. They like to offer up. A lot of employees of this company like to offer up their creative ideas, which were usually about mediocre. So it's dangerous to go down that road.
But
I do hope put a little more air in your helmet. Tighten up those chin straps. A little more tape. I hope somewhere that works its way back into the intro video. Right?
I think it will.
And given the elite creative minds over there, I would be surprised if it didn't. Fair, Tony? You like to fashion yourself a creative. You got to work in the little more air in your helmet.
Absolutely. Hold the rope. Where is the rope? They took it off the wall. Where is it now? Somewhere?
Good question.
Storage closet.
P1 listener Jonah with my daughter Juniper for a much-needed date night. She had so much fun. Look at dad and daughter at the ball game. Isn't that nice?
Good, great picture.
Awesome.
Memories. Making memories.
Texter.
Well, you were killing that popcorn.
Evan in South Charleston.
No, I'm stopping.
I've never wanted Rich back. I still don't forgive him for how he left. However, I think I must give in to fate. The world champs play the Ohio Bobcats for the first time since 2001, which was Coach Rod's first year. We play Pitt in Morgantown on September 13. It would be 9/13. It's hard to fight against such destiny. What a wild turn of events.
That might be the wildest piece of trivia in this whole story. That's truly unbelievable.
Yeah. Yep. AJ in South Park. I know that Brad's going to be pumped up about Jake Auer's performance since they're both from Iowa, and Brad allegedly has the scoring record and once lifted weights in a gym out there or something. But the most amazing anecdote is that Auer played against Caitlin Clark in elementary school. Did she teach him how to shoot? He's a fan favorite for sure. AJ in South Park. I did not know that about him. Did you know that about Caitlin?
I don't think I knew that either. But, I mean, West Des Moines, so they probably played in the same youth league there.
Yeah. Someone just wrote this. My Twitter search field for today. 2 names on that search list. Hoppy Kercheval and Pete Thamel.
Well, thank you. I was a little bit didn't break the story. Did get confirmation.
Sure.
University confirmation, but the story is already old by 15 minutes.
Charlie from Midlothian, congratulations on episode 600. You and Brad were correct in explaining how our Kroger fuel purchase is just one purchase. However, you mentioned we use 2 vehicles. Now, including the local daughter's family, so it's 3 vehicles every time.
Jeez.
That's what we get left of. They get what's left of 35 gallons. Little heads up. Got a package coming your way with a specially wrapped item. Thanks for always keeping us entertained. They run 3 cars through there. I mean, the Charlie from Midlothian's go on a parade to Kroger just to steal the gas.
Is it? Do they coordinate so everybody needs gas at the same time?
That's a great question, Hoppy.
How do they manage that part?
Yeah.
Like, you better go out and drive around for 2 hours.
Charlie's going to get the gas. Make sure you're empty. Texter says, Thamel again? We all knew this before him. Heck, I knew it from a current player before Thamel.
No, you didn't.
That's what the texter says.
I know.
Texter says, I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of text on Rich. Feel this out for me. Rich can win here, and we all know that, but it doesn't appear that the university had to make the decision for the money aspect it brings. I know that Wren wouldn't hire a coach that can't win, but no other candidate was going to have the support that Rich is going to get. Not condemning the decision. I'm just curious of your guys' actual opinion.
I think we talked about that, and I think we went over. There were just if you're doing it analytically, you just start checking boxes, and with the field remaining, and the decision kind of makes itself. And look, no hire. This athletic director has been very successful with his hires so far. But you know what? Coaches get fired all the time. So any hire has a, I don't know, what's the failure factor?
Well,
40%?
The 2019 class, remember I read those guys that got fired? There were 27 dudes that were hired in 19.
Oh, and only like two
and
or
then,
three? Or three
17 got fired, and 4 moved, and 3 of the guys are still at their same place. Three are at the same place, have a winning record. 3 are at the same place, have a losing record. 4 guys moved to different schools, and the rest got fired.
That's incredible. And Tony, those are real important numbers because it just tells you that you are rolling the dice, and there are factors that you're hiring a coach, but there are factors that the coach can't control because guess what? You play other teams too. So, just stuff happens, man.
Charles in southwestern Virginia, did Comax have to come in and enhance your text box in size? I'm guessing the news yesterday broke your old one. Also, how expensive will the pit tickets be for next year? Woo! That might be a ticket.
That'll be fun.
That will be.
Get on your StubHubs. Yeah. Gentleman, Hoppy may cover this in his obvious observations. You might get dozens of similar texts, but here goes my obvious observations. Hiring this coach will split the fan base. There is an impression that no one else wanted the job and we were forced to go with our last option. There is the impression this was forced on the athletic director by big donors, which will lead to the AD moving on. In the eyes of many fans, the football program's leadership is in turmoil. After announcing the hire, the AD and President Gee will have fences to mend. Of course, all this fades away if the team goes 10-2 next year. Some of the fans will return. If Coach Rodriguez is not hired yet, you can trash this text. Thanks for letting me vent.
I think that the interest of the donors who wanted to bring back Rich, and it wasn't all, was a factor, but not the factor. It was somewhere in the top 5, but it wasn't 1 or 2 or maybe even 3, that it was 4 or 5 in considerations.
Interest from donors is always an interesting term. It's kind of like...
It's a great term.
It's kind of like what side are the sharps on when you're betting? And you know what the answer is to that? What side are the sharps on, Hop?
What is it?
Both sides. Professional sharp bettors can be on both sides of the bet, and that's really how it is with donors. So I think we probably need to move past the lexicon of donors wanted. Some did, and those folks are hopefully contributing to the program at a point that'll push it forward. There are others that did not, right? There are donors on both sides of that equation. There always is. I do think that the interesting line of that text was the last one. You go 10-2.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, guys, that's the case with everybody. As we talked last episode, we can talk about all the other stuff and all the surrounding things and all the things you like or don't like. Given the candidate pool this time and maybe every hire moving forward, there's always both sides. There's always complaints on both sides. Good, not good, good. What about this problem? What about this question I have? Go win games. That's what it's going to come down to. For Rich or anybody else, go win games.
And also, I'll tell you what didn't happen. What didn't happen was a particular donor who wanted Rich called up Ren Baker and said, hire Rich, and then Ren hired Rich. That didn't happen.
Correct.
That did not happen.
Correct.
And also, this is, whatever you think, this is Ren Baker's decision. Ren Baker has a career. This is his decision. So donors, maybe people are in his ear about different things, but ultimately, who is going to benefit or be castigated by the decision?
Ren Baker.
So
now that said, because of this particular hire, there's built-in existing relationships with this head coach with people that do have dollars.
Yes.
That's the unique part. I doubt Jeff Monken was coming in with existing relationships with anybody on the donor base. Those would have had to be built. And pick any coach you want there, Hoppy, Barry Odom, anybody that you want to name. This particular head coach has direct relationships with people that have dollars that are in a position to donate. That's what will be interesting to see moving forward in an era when the money that has always been important has never been more important than it is right now because of the ability to help you procure the talent with those dollars.
Yeah. And to further your point, Hoppy, you're exactly right. Like, Ren Baker's got a very bright future as an athletic director. How long he stays at West Virginia, I don't know, but I do know he won't retire here.
Right.
He's not going to be here for 20 years. And he's already had multiple opportunities to leave since he's been here. So you're exactly right. He knows that his hires are what will get him his next gig. And he knows if he screws one up really bad, that will hurt him. He knows if he hits a home run, that will help him. And to your point, no one's telling him who to hire. He did this. Now, could you make the case that this was a process of elimination hire? Yes, it was. Is he comfortable with this hire? Yes, he is. For all of the reasons you just listed. Went through the system, went through it, and this is what you ended up to be the best thing at this moment for this program. But no one is going to tell him what to do because he's got way too much gravitas in the industry, and he is going to be someday at a different school, and that's the reality of it, and they're going to look back at his hires.
And I can tell you this, too, that he, so far, with his building of relationships and with his hires, has built up enough credibility with President Gee, the Board of Governors, and donors. I heard from a lot of people who said, well, we trust Ren to make the best decision.
Yeah. Well, think about what he's already been able to accomplish in the funding of the rev share going forward for next year. That's their trust in him to make that financial commitment to put West Virginia in the top third of the Big 12 when you go to the market starting in July with the House decision. So if you didn't have the juice that he has right now that he's dealing with, he would have never got that. And you'd be sitting here going like, whoa, I hope it works. Now you've set the table for it to work. Where a year ago you did not have the table set when you're 12 or 13 in NIL spending in the conference. Merry Christmas, three guys. I think it was great that Hoppy gifted Pete Thamel with the privilege of breaking the news on Rodriguez. Optimistic? I think Coach will come in with a chip on his shoulder, a desire to make things up to the fan base. Charlie from Princeton. I'm a day one listener. Willie G from Elkview. That's an exit there on 79.
Yes.
Bridge there? You go over the bridge and get to the Kroger.
Get to the Kroger's over there, yeah. Or the Subway or the...
Yeah. Hiring Rich is like getting back together with an ex after a bad breakup. Some people are going to love it. Some are going to hate it. Some will be okay, but will be looking for the first reason to approve or disapprove. Hopefully, both parties are better than they were 17 years ago and can have a stable adult relationship. I also have suspicion that this is a very donor-influenced hire. This is outside of Red's patterns from other hires. Since Rich is coming back, I think Tutors should create a Rich Rod biscuit. We need to have a Tutors installed at Mountaineer Field. Give the three guys royalties on that idea, of course, and sell the Rich biscuit. Three guys biscuit and the Mountaineer biscuit. Spot the ball. I think Tutors should go spot the bacon.
Spot the bacon?
Spot the bacon. What do you think, Brad?
Or the Rich biscuit could be if you buy one today and come back in 17 years, you get another one?
Well, if you bring that camo cup in there, they'll still fill it up 17 years from now for the price of an iced tea.
There you go.
Or a small coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, three guys. On your, excuse me. Should need popcorn on the air.
Correct.
Hi, three guys. On the last show, you mentioned the 22% revenue share internal to each school. Every school would have a different number to spend based on its revenue. That is not accurate. The revenue number used for all schools to arrive at the cap is the average revenue of all FBS schools. For example, if the average is $100 million, then all schools can spend up to $22 million. So if a high estate is $200 million in rev, they cannot spend $44 million but still only $22 million. NIL obviously could be very different for each school, though. Thank you, Rob, New Jersey. Thank you, Rob. I will look into that for clarification because it is still a conversation that is being had. But that is significant. To your point, that is significant. I'll get it. I'll figure that one out.
I thought it was, though. I thought we said that it's an average of the Power 4 schools of their budgets, and then 22% of that of the average. I thought anyway. Okay.
You would, I will do a better job on
and capped, right?
It goes up, but it goes up. Yes, but it does go up.
Okay,
I'll figure that out, Rob.
Okay,
Thank you.
it out.
Since I've become a pastor and fully surrendered to God's calling, I don't keep up with much in sports except West Virginia. I've said many times before, bring back Rich Rod. When I would run into him at the Greenbrier, I never thought, you traitor. I thought, we don't know or appreciate how good we had it with you. Now he's finally back, almost 20 years ago. Senior team ranked in the top 10 consistently is fun, and now we get back to that. This should speak a lot to us as a Christian or just as a person. The grass may be greener, but that just means it's crapped on more. We should always realize how good we have our life in Christ and how good we have things taken care of. West Virginia football does not matter in eternity, but boy, this is going to be fun. DJ, Monroe County. Spiritual reference there, Hoppy.
Yeah, that
to go along with Les Mis and The Lion King and Hoosiers.
It's the story as old as time.
Yeah, it's a good way to cap it. Okay. Are we all good?
All good.
All good. Yeah.
All good. Exciting times.
Hoppy, I really appreciate you coming in on your vacation. In fact, I've seen you more this week on your vacation than I've seen you today.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Happy to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Involved.
Don't forget, we're back
when?
Monday. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not here Monday.
You're
I'm
not?
gone. I'd be gone Monday.
So Sunday morning?
Yeah, might have to do that and have to You around?
No.
Yeah.
You're
Tuesday,
not around.
Wednesday? Can't do.
I'm gone. Tuesday, I got the bowl game. Huh.
I have to work on that.
Suddenly, there's controversy at Three Guys, and it comes to scheduling. We'll figure it out.
You want to just do another one right now? Just keep going. Talk about the coaching change?
Our next one's going to be the preview of the bowl, right?
Probably.
There might not be one.
Can you do it tomorrow?
I gotta check. No, I'm out tomorrow.
Oh, you
High
got
school
football.
state championships.
Plus, you got the Rich Rod press conference. You got to do that.
There will no longer be any Three Guys Before the Games episodes. Thanks for being with us for our 600th and our last ever show. Told you we wouldn't get to 800. We're done.
It's been great. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
All good things come to an end.
You just saw the complete unraveling of Three Guys Before the Game.
It happened fast.
Scheduling conflicts did not allow the team to come back together. That'll be on the Wikipedia. Due to scheduling concepts, the final show was the hiring of Rich Rodriguez, episode 600. They've never been heard from again.
Well, you know how it is with bands. I mean, people start to do projects on their own. They can't get the band back together. People have problems and issues. And maybe a reunion tour.
Maybe.
A couple years.
17 years from now. Three Guys Before the Game brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. I could do 8 a.m. Monday morning. Three Guys brought to us by GoMart. Go for get a GoMart rewards card.
We're back.
You could do 8 a.m.?
I don't even know what day it is now. Read your reads. We'll do this after the
Go to
show ends.
gomart.com for details. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. That be it. Thanks for being with us. Have yourself a great day. Great day to be a mountaineer. Wherever you get Mountaineer popcorn. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. Very good to see you.